Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with some more Warhammer 3 gameplay. Just a quick note, as per usual, this stuff was recorded by a Creative Assembly staff member and then preceded to us, and anything that you see on screen, such as stats and so on, could be subject to change as this is still a development in progress. Now that the usual thing has been said, let's just jump right into the actual game. So what we have is a major siege battle once again, with Grand Cathay defending itself, but this time the attacker is not Khorne. This time it's the Ogre Kingdoms, and this should be an interesting fight, as obviously the Ogres will not be able to climb up walls, so they won't be able to take out towers effectively and so on, but they will be able to attack walls directly, as we are aware that a grand majority of the Ogre roster has the Wall Breaker trait. There are multiple ways where you can take this with the Ogre Kingdoms. You can attack one side directly or split up. Usually the player will focus around splitting up, which kind of makes sense, but given the fact that you're also able to attack walls too, you should be able to effectively go for one side if you so wish and just smash it all down. I believe, and it should show up on screen eventually, that walls themselves have around 8,000 HP, and I'm not too sure how well that translates when units start fighting, but you will notice that the player itself will not take a lot of time to actually deploy his forces. The forces will be deployed in two groups rather than what we've seen with previous siege battles where it's normally split up into three. This means obviously that the Cathayan forces will be better off in terms of deployment, as the AI will then mostly see, oh, the enemy is only going into two groups, so best split the forces like this. But it works in your favor too, as if you go for the walls, you could take them down fairly quick. The battle started fairly quickly too, and this could be a bit of an issue for the Ogre player who put a lot of units on the right hand side. The fact is that towers will be able to do damage quite heavily. We're already seeing that with the Gorgas, which so far have taken a lot of damage. The man-eaters too, where if you would have attacked from the front, it could have probably worked out better for you, as the Cathayans obviously have no towers at the front, which is still very confusing to myself, but they do have two gates and a piece of wall, so they could have split up the forces better and possibly taken less damage to go in through it. The Ogres are taking heavy damage at the very beginning, which, yeah, this is going to happen to anything with large units and so on, which will not be able to climb up walls. They'll be sitting ducks. We can see that the Gorgas on the side are hitting the wall, and they've already down to, what, 5 entities, which is a lot of heavy damage. Sure, they only had 8 entities to begin with, but you can see from their health bar that they're pretty low. Same as the Giant too. The Ogres are struggling to get in without having a lot of areas to cover. Now, walls are going down fast. It's actually quite impressive that only 5 Gorgas was able to take down a piece of wall that quickly. Now, yeah, still, they've taken a lot of damage and they're going to start getting shot. The entrance is open and needs to be capitalized. Now, enemy gates are falling too, so yeah, there's a lot of different entrances, but you need to start pushing quickly when you're playing as Ogres, as small entities with a lot of pikemen on the Cathayan roster, some towers, and possibly a lot of crossbows too. This is all built to deal damage to you. You need to rush quickly. Obviously, we have to take into account that this is not an optimal siege attacker army for the Ogres. Some Iron Blasters, which we've already seen in trailers and so on, would very much be helpful here. But we're seeing a lot of damage, we're seeing a lot of movement now. The Ogres have been able to move in from direct locations. The AI has made a very weird decision of falling back. I understand the fallback, because obviously it does make sense, but it's allowing for the Ogres to move in. This is a bit of an issue because you don't want the Ogres to move in. You don't want them to have free reign and be able to charge down, as we've seen from their stats and so on. Like, Ogre charges are going to do a lot of damage. We've seen this already with Warhammer 2, as we've been able to use some Ogre units as mercenaries, so it's a bit weird. Again, this is Total War AI, which is kind of flawed, and it's been this way since the first ever Total War game. AI has been trying to improve over the years, but has not been fantastic. Then again, the purpose is not to showcase the AI, but to showcase how the armies do when you're using them. At least that's what I imagine what these videos are for from Creative Assembly, but let's not dwell on that too much. We're seeing a lot of Ogres start dying already, we're seeing a lot of damage being done. We are seeing that the Ogres are trying their best to do some damage, but there's only only so much that can be done. Like, for example, in just a few short seconds, because we can already see it, the Sentinel itself is fighting a slave giant, and that giant is going to die. The giant's just not going to be able to take it one by one, as obviously he's already taken a lot of damage from the towers. It's going to be quite difficult to be able to siege any Cathayan settlements like this if you're not using some heavy firepower, iron blasters and all that once again. Though, interestingly enough, some Noblars were able to sneak through, so yeah, that kind of works, yet it's still going to be quite a tough fight, I'd imagine. This might be the hardest fight that the Creative Assembly staff member has had to deal with the fact is, yes, the AI is still being a bit weird and falling back to locations it shouldn't, and it should have held back in some other locations where, weirdly enough, some crossbow units are basically acting like melee, but still, there's a lot of weird damage being done throughout the whole battle. I mean, if you just give it a quick glance, it's almost like the Cathayans are winning, as they're able to do so much, and we're seeing Ogres break. Like, it's strange. You don't really see this often. The player himself is not great, and again, it might just be the whole limitations of what you can actually use to do these showcases, because, yeah, again, not a proper siege army, or at least not from what we've seen so far from trailers. And still, it's not bad, though it does bear that this army is probably better suited for a ground battle, a basic land battle, or even a minor settlement. Nothing to just scale walls. It's just one of these things, and I think anyone watching this video will be able to tell that, as, yeah, we've been playing Warhammer 2 and so on. We know how these races act, even if these are new races that we haven't played with. I'm imagining siege battle playstyle with the Ogres. If you're attacking and you've got kind of one of these low tier stacks, you're going to want to move quickly. You want to overwhelm your enemy, take out any big things like, for example, those Sentinels, and then focus on all the trash. Even then, you're going to be dealing with a lot of anti-large if you're attacking Cathay directly, which is good to know if, say, for example, you're playing as Greasus and you decide that you want to go into Cathay instead of going up north or going into Kislev. So it's going to be a bit strange. Obviously, any races which have a lot of anti-large, a lot of pikes, a lot of spears and so on, they're going to be able to do a lot of damage with you if they can pin you down. So you're going to be having to think on how you can counter that. The great thing is there's a lot of monstrous cavs, so you can get the enemies from behind. You've got good magic, and a big issue here, which is something that, yeah, I don't want to say anything bad about the player, but, like, yeah, 48 wins of magic. Where's the spells? You've got Scrog. You need to start casting. Casting is so important here, especially with an army that is tailored against you. Like, Cathay is going to have loads of bonuses versus the Ogre Kingdoms. You need to be able to cast. You need to start throwing stuff at them. And I don't know, where is Scrog? Scrog is actually at the Scrog is actually at the freaking front of the settlement. I've honestly not realized that Scrog was just back there constantly. And yeah, eventually some spells get used, but it's a bit little too late. You need to start being able to use spells as soon as you can. A lot of winds of magic and just one spellcaster, it's not going to do you any good. You need to start casting, especially earlier in the battle, where the enemy was, well, you know, scrunched up, where now they're going to be spread out because there's less of them. This was a massive opportunity wasted there. I do apologize to the developers watching this. I'm not trying to make fun of it. It's just, it's a basic tactic. We know that spellcasting in Warhammer is very important, so it's important to keep that going. Though what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let the rest of the video play without my commentary, so that way you can listen to the game, listen to any voice lines and so on, and the actual battle music and that, as you might want to enjoy that. I don't think there's too much left on this battle, considering that a decent amount of damage has been done, but I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you guys think. Please, and I'm asking, don't be too harsh to the developer here, because, yeah, he made some mistakes. We all do, but keep in mind that, yeah, I found it weird too, I must admit. Hopefully the next time any battles are showcased, it won't be something like this. Magic is super important, especially with an army that is tailored to counter against you. Yeah, some more winds of magic would have been helpful, some more spells would have been helpful.
The screaming hunger! Noblesse! Servant of the Moor! slaughter, the more. Scrag the slaughterer. Scalper. Crushers. Yeah. Real time. Yes, sir. The more that walks. Man-eater pistols. Eat 'em when supper. Ogres, let's go, boys. Man-eater pistols.
All right.
Scrag the slaughterer. Following its voice. Slice the meat. Crushers. Bring us meat. Relentless hunger. Forever. Insatiable. Find a meal. Crush 'em. Crushers!
But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Ogre for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VSVasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.